Early April 2024 with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails, and they will be. Here's one of the guard cats. This is one's Toadie. Hello Toadie. Patrolling the premises, and don't give us any trouble, will you? Yeah, so this is where we live at 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill, and it says cats on patrol. Here's the senior guard cat, Bentley. Hello Bentley. Go, sort out Toadie, go on. Go back home, although he spends most of his time with us. Yeah, so I'll start with a standard introduction for those who haven't seen it. This is where we live, 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill, where GPS was tested from the late 1980s at this spot, so-called Robin's Corner. In fact, it was just there. That's the garden sculpture that June gave me as a birthday present. Oh, best part of 3 years ago now. And yes, that's the oak tree that sprang up from an acorn with the owl box that cats tend to prefer rather than owls. Everything's been growing quite a bit. Yeah, there's promotion of the website that was a business decades ago. It's now hobbies and charitable causes. Yeah, still haven't sorted out this soakaway yet. That was a project a couple of years ago now, which is accommodation for the guard cats and also armed mice. You'll see more warning signs later. You'll get a glimpse of the robot boat as I go into the house. But first, yes, this is old news really, but this is the camper that was used to transport Snoopy's robot boat down to the coast. Well, more than 2 years ago now. Battle damage. June said Robin did it. Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. I've got to improve that lettering. Yes, I won't demonstrate the flatulent fairy. There is some equipment under there which supports her. Yes, before we go into the house, I'm obliged to point out some health and safety details. Yes, there have been signs here for years about cameras inside and outside this house. Sound and video is monitored in local houses elsewhere. That is a more recent sign. No trespassing, violators will be shot, survivors will be shot again. And yes, that's my study in there. Do not disturb, I'm disturbed enough already. I'm reading these out for those of you that are using automatic translation with subtitles. And this is probably the most important sign. Home of mad ex-NATO scientist Robin Lovelock, beware of web cameras and water squirters. Loaded with water, paint, acid, DNA tracer or nerve agent. Robin would not be mad enough to test these, or would he? There we go. It's all jokes, of course. Right, so I think we can afford to go into the house now very carefully. And we know the cats are now outside, so it's relatively safe to come in. And yes, a quick glance at the kitchen area. Yeah, June's doing a bit of work in the kitchen. Tennis on the television, of course. Temporary mirrors here, which that was some time ago. And that's a brief look at Robin's untidy study. There, very brief. And we're gradually getting the place slowly back. So this is the games room. There's still a lot of tidying up to be done. And of course, a lot of the purpose of these photo trails and videos are to help those who might be able to help us. So there's the robot boat. And I may get a chance to do a bit more work on it. I've got most of the materials now. A little bit of wiring, put in things like the autopilot and the logger in the right place. That work has been delayed for a year or more due to higher priority things. And yeah, so lots of tidying up needed to put things back where they can be found. So now we're going to go into the garden, and that's where a lot of progress has been made in the last 3 or 4 months. And it started with being able to fix the leaks in the pond, but while we're doing that, we've done other things. The most recent thing is the old barbecue had to be pulled apart and thrown away, and we've got a new one. So much of this has really been a case of shelving so that things that were dotted around the garden be temporarily put there before we decide a better place for them. That's the TV, solar panels. There we go, it's in there, and a computer, of course. So now coming round, and yes, all the water drains off the roof, various routes, including down and into the pond there. That's the top pond, and then when that's full it overflows down the stream. Yes, that's the old telescope I built as a schoolboy. It's been constructed, but the important optical work was done then. And the stream flows down, yes, more about the sundial in a moment, into the second pond. Called it a duck pond because I built a fence, but we've not really found a solution. The ducks, I don't want them trapped there. The idea is that they can choose to live there if they choose to. Coming around the back here, because we did have a problem with leakage which was going through to the neighbours, and I think we fixed that. So that's just so you're doing a recce of the garden. And we've had some heavy showers come through, in fact thundery showers with hail. So I'm shooting this while I have the chance. I don't know how many decades ago I made the sundial. The difference is, this is now a bit more like a conventional sundial, and this does work when the sun's out. And the idea is that it's more like a sundial shape, and a globe seemed a good way of casting the shadow. And I'm just starting to put the numbers in the right place. And of course these are GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, rather than summertime. So I think we take this route down the garden. So after that pond fills up, it overflows into a stream into a third pond. Now this is, from June's point of view, a temporary pond. It's a reservoir for the bog garden area. So we've got giant rhubarb like Gunra manticata that's been planted, and other various bog plants here. Hawthorn that's been planted. That should provide some protection for birds, so they might choose to nest here. I'll come this way through. Yeah, bluebells and other plants are coming up lovely. And so compost heap here. June's washing line, that's been there for a good few decades. Yeah, I'll do a quick tour here. Yeah, a lot of junk to be thrown away. This really is junk. Plastic plant containers, and that's high on the list. Yeah, solar powered power in the shed, tool shed, but most of the tools, the approach has been to put them in the open so we can find them. And in fact, anybody who needs a particular tool, a lawnmower, just look and you'll find it. Other tools here. Anybody who's seen these videos will probably see the big difference between one that was shot no more than 2 weeks ago, end of March, beginning of April, how things have grown up. I'll give a glimpse of that in a moment, but in terms of tools, haven't been put away particularly tidily, but same principle. Make it easy to find things. A lot of tidying up needs to be done here, particularly putting up things and putting things in the right place, but we've got the basic means of doing it. Fairly recent in terms of the last day or two, middle of April, has been putting up more of that trellis work. Again, places birds might choose to make use of. Yes, saws. At the stage I did find a use for a couple of saws with a sundial. Some of those will be thrown away, that's brand new. But you shouldn't rush to throw things away when they may have some other use, like sentimental value, or they may be sharper than a more recently purchased one. Now into the so-called lab or laboratory. Yeah, that hasn't been tidied up. It's got all sorts of junk in it. Computers, TVs, drawers for odds and ends, oscilloscopes, lots of things. Halloween stuff, robot boat electronics, good old-fashioned multi-core solder. Might even be illegal now, don't know. Yeah, so definitely a lot of work to be tidied up in there. It's all a matter of doing things according to what conditions permit. So, for example, the priority was to work on the pond during the winter when the wildlife was relatively dormant. I think, yes, we've done the sundial, haven't we? This is going to be a long take, but gets it out the way. Yeah, so this is still got to be tidied up and put in the right place. That was a pond vacuum, pond vac. This is June's greenhouse, so that's not too bad a state. And as we come around the side of the house, it's where materials are being kept temporarily, things like wood, and yeah, that's a ladder June got, which is easier to get access. And then we reach around the front. That's the old original soakaway, and that's got to be unblocked as best we can. It's mostly just full of silt. All work that could be done by handymen. The main requirement is common sense. So I think I've pretty well done most of the place, and so I'll go into the lounge, which is through this door here. Yes, these mirrors reflect the light and the heat from the chimney. All these little things, like the three wise robins, we can find better places to put them, but for the moment they put there. And I've often told people tell me where to stick things. Don't always do what they say. So we're now into the lounge. Hasn't changed much over the years. This is Robin's naughty corner. You'll see that on most of the closed circuit TV checks parts of the photo trails. I sit here because it's comfortable and check closed circuit TV or watch it live. So I think that's about it. You'll be glad to know. So, as I say, these photo trails are an aid to my memory, but at some point I'll be going into the material that was from last year. But before I do that, we'll go into the photo trails. All unscripted and off the cuff, as you see. So into those long photo trails for the beginning of April. Monday the 1st of April 2024. About 7 minutes of photos, including this 1 minute summary at the start. Yeah, popping out into the garden occasionally, checking things. Yes, of course the clock's changed from GMT to summertime. Put a bit of lawn seed down on the bit at the back. Yes, and I thought, long time, that wall needs to be painted and a bit of plaster put over cracks before the painting done. And yeah, job reasonably well done at the end of it. Yeah, booked the wheat sheaf using the bot. Yeah, and Michelle was on her way back and got back from near Glastonbury, the windmill, greeted by Toadie. Yeah, back in the day, various snacks. I do the closed circuit TV check. Yeah, hedgehogs and foxes coming to the front and the back. And yeah, they're watching something on the TV. Kind of rubbish, I think. So yeah, all dozing off. So time for bed. That's the end of the summary. So now into the main photo trail in the order that photos were shot. Yeah, so a few shots in the garden, probably when the sun came out, and I was taking a look. Also on the lookout for rainbows, because you had isolated showers, but didn't see any. Yeah, just checking the pond levels and the indicators. So the main reason I went out was the sun had come out, so, and it was on the hour, so making a note of the directions of the shadows. But he says, yes, these are in GMT, I suppose. So he goes into the lab and points out that clock that has been left on GMT. And yeah, that's the lab that needs clearing up. It's on the list of things to do. It's got robot boats. I don't know when I get a chance to do it. Then down the end of the garden, the bog garden's coming along nicely. Looking back up. And just a few snaps around the back garden. Everything's growing nicely. And the water squirter's working. Could do with a spare one of those. And yeah, mostly around the pond. Everything's growing nicely. Patio. And back into the lounge. And what we got here? Oh, having my 2 Weetabix for breakfast. Or late breakfast. That looks like a video has been finished. Yes, the revised end of March video with all the photos trails. Yeah, put down a bit of grass seed and sprinkled with a bit of compost. Just a few patches there and yeah, watered. Now looking at that, that's been like that for years. And although the job could be done properly and could get redone properly, I thought, do the best we can. Popped out because it was on the hour and the sun had come out. It must have been 1200, 12 o'clock midday. It looks okay. Blank picture there, not sure that was. Now there's a big crack. So a bit of polyfiller over that. And I didn't give it long enough to dry, but seemed to do the job. Painted over it, hung the picture back in place. That was a picture of the tank factory many years ago, back in the 80s I think, with a 35mm camera on a model aeroplane. Right, so that's trying to track Michelle. So with all these things, they're bugs and things or just peculiarities. Yeah, book up. Use the voice robot. I normally say I'd like to speak to a person please, but did that. Michelle said she was on her way back and where they were, about Longley at the time I think, so quickly and yeah, looked at the rain radar and yeah, showed sort of mixture of sunshine and scattered showers, and thought there might be a chance to get a rainbow, but as it happens, yeah, there should have been a rainbow there, but didn't quite catch it. And yeah, the pussycats are ready there in their rooms they've chosen to be in. I have a bit of a relax there. Yes, there they are, arriving. So Matthew drops Michelle off and yeah, got there bang on when they said about 5 o'clock. I had a bit of a doze, woke up. Yeah, looks like dinner consists of leftovers from the Sunday lunch. So I had a few of those. Did the closed circuit TV check, starting from midnight, running forward. Yeah, visits by hedgehogs. Apparently all the peanuts had gone by midnight, and but so the foxes and the hedgehogs were there, front and back, to eat what was left. Through to when the camera switched at 0518, that's GMT, to colour, and then going back from midnight, and there's the hedgehog and the fox at the front porch at the same time. And yeah, through to when the camera switched, 1901 GMT, in the although I lose track of these things. So they're watching, I don't know, some Marvel films superhero thing, but set in pre-Victorian times, I think. Yeah, so everybody's having a bit of a doze, including the pussycats. So time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday, the 2nd of April 2024. Over 9 minutes of photos, including this 2-minute summary at the start. Yes, the pussycats, and what else have we got here? Yeah, popped out, checked out the garden. Oh yes, these frames here, for those interested, are from my Frimley Park Hospital page, which has been headlined for some time. And basically I suffered from a condition which only lasted a few hours. And Terry gave the lift to pub lunch, and that was at the Wheat Sheaf that Richard had suggested. Passed a few landmarks on the way back. Some of us will remember, including where the little chef was on Crossways, where June's family were, and back to Armitage Court, and coffee where Stuart was able to join us, and yeah, discussion about a number of things. There's a glimpse of the red kite nesting locally. Able to show Mike around a bit before he left. Yeah, coming on to rain. Look at the tracker. Yes, that shows where I'd been. Anybody watching? Yeah, back in late in the evening now, and put the peanuts out. They're practically all gone from the night before. Did the closed circuit TV check. That showed up the power cut we had, which was just the power tripping out, and it was diagnosed to at least the stuff out in the garden, and it shouldn't take too long to locate that. There's the hedgehog, and then the fox coming to the front porch, and then the rear. Yes, and the hedgehog triggers the PIR light, which works well. And yeah, Spot Tracker was due to renew one of the licenses, £147 a year. Not cheap. Time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. Now into the photos, including these frames I added at the front. You can freeze them if you're interested, or just look at the page. Anyhow, yes, Bentley, the first pictures included Bentley in his favourite spot he's found, which is the washing basket in the utility room. I popped out, and yeah, what was that? Oh, the women had decided, that was June and Samantha had decided to do a bit of shopping in Bracknell, I think that was. And yeah, looking at the tracker to check that it works, and closed circuit TV, probably relaxing now, waiting to see who turns up. And might have been waiting for the women to arrive, I don't know, doesn't matter. So Toadie on sentry duty. Oh yes. Now that's, yes, so Terry decided to come over, probably wanted to save June driving. She's still recovering, but pretty well recovered from something. Wheat Sheaf is where we decided to go, after Richard's suggestion. And of course this was pub grub number 1 this week. There was a number 2 the next day. And yeah, so good that, oh, that's where the disco used to be back in 1970, down in the cellar. Yeah. And of course, on the way back, past where June used to live, and the White Room, I think that is, and what used to be the Little Chef, and that Italian has been there, and crossways is where June's parent lived before she came along. So into the village, Cords Hall, the cinema, Comrades Club, and Armitage Court. I popped in shortly just to check things like emails and things, and yeah, so over for coffee and bickies over at Richard and Faye's, looking out at their garden, conversation on lots of things, including nesting boxes and or more importantly, birds nesting. Yes, sign at the front door. Got a glimpse of the red kite nesting over at the near the tennis courts. And yeah, Mike pops in just for me to show him around the garden and things, what's going on, and looked at the rain radar. It looks as though lots of rain on and off. Yeah, women watching tennis just for a change. Yeah, some emails related to the next pub grub, which was ended up sorting out the next day. And difference is, of course, that Stuart would be able to be there rather than just for coffee after, which was still good. Yeah, let's just check in my tracker. Yeah, back here. And some phone calls there. Looks like Terry, yeah, that was confirming because the next pub grub was going to be the very next day. The Red Lion at Lightwater. Yeah, so June's rustled up some food. So take it into Robin's Naughty Corner in the lounge, where I can watch the closed circuit TV live. And I noticed, practically all the peanuts had gone. So went out and put the remainder of the hedgehog food down, and then that bag goes in the recycle waste. Yeah, we found the hedgehogs like peanuts just as much as the official hedgehog food. Yeah, just checking because we had a bit of drizzle, so the pond had topped up by the odd inch or two. Yeah, so that's putting the peanuts at the front. Yes, that puddle's coming up. That's on the list of things to do. Put in waste in the right bin. And yeah, looking live at the closed circuit TV, that's what you see. They're watching whatever that is. I can't remember now. That shows the power loss until June got up and fixed the trip and switched off the outside power. So that just needed to, it's on the list of things to do. Should be fairly quick to diagnose exactly where the power cut was and change what's needed. Usually something failing or water getting in somewhere. So there's the fox coming to the front porch, and yes, by the time the power came back, because the closed circuit TV went down with the power, and we're probably running backwards now from midnight. Foxes again coming for the peanuts. Yes, and the back porch. And yeah, that PIR light was really good. Doesn't frighten anything away, but the hedgehogs, they were quite happy to climb all over it. But it means that even a small thing triggers it. So you see it on the closed circuit TV, grabs your attention, and of course illuminates it a little as well. Through till when the camera switched from colour at 1906, was that, until black and white for the night. It's Michelle and a lady watching TV. I went in and I saw my spot had to be renewed. I think that's going to happen automatically. Check the pricing. Yeah, it's still expensive, but don't have an alternative at the moment. That's the spare spot tracker, so you know what they look like. So that's in the boat, and they're still relaxing, watching whatever it is on TV. So time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trails. Wednesday the 3rd of April 2024. 7.5 minutes of photos, including this summary of over a minute. Yes, the pussycats found a little baby mouse, and so we followed standard procedure and rescued it, and it was put in the mouse hide under the top bridge. Also pub lunch, second pub lunch that week, this time just Robin, Stuart and Roy. Yeah, looking at the tracker, anybody could see where Robin went, or where his tracker went, the Red Lion. And a little bit more work in the garden, sundial. And back end of the day, into the naughty corner to eat dinner and look at the closed circuit TV for the night before, including the fox and the hedgehog, sometimes at the same time, sharing the peanuts, both at the front and at the back. And the PIR light worked lovely, showing up the hedgehog without frightening it. So that was the closed circuit TV check. Yes, everybody relaxing, watching whatever that is, Black Panther I think, some Marvel film. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot. Yes, processing of the video from the day before, I expect, like I'm doing now. And yeah, that's probably the women on the way back from tennis. Had a look at that drain, find a way of unblocking it. Yeah, they are arriving. That's June and Samantha. Oh yes, I managed to find out where there was a problem or not a problem by doing checks, and these photos really is a trail for anybody, including kids. Handyman work, using a meter, of course putting tools back and keep them in the right place so you can find them, and checking. Yeah, there was no problem. The fuse, that was checking it outside first of all, and basically plugging things back in after checking them, and looked like the fountain started working again, or at least that's, no, I'm trying to rush this commentary too quickly. So that was the correct lead which went to the pump. Lots of other things going on at the same time. That's where we had the power trip go, and that's the reason why I was doing the work. And we managed to get the fountain working again. So the power was tripping due to some other lead, and I think I found out which one that was. There's the mouse, little baby one. So Michelle follows the procedure with putting a tumbler over it, then slipping the cardboard underneath so you can carry it out and release it in a safe place, and that looked a pretty safe place, made especially for mice. Yes, pussycats are a little bit annoying. Yeah, so that's the pub, the Red Lion. Terry rang to say he wasn't able to make it, had a bit of a cold coming on, but before that Roy had said he could, so we had three of us. So a bit more out in the garden. When the sun comes out, you say, I'll get a chance to check the sundial. It's a question of making sure it's well calibrated. That looked wrong, but then stupid Robin didn't realise we were on summertime, and of course sundials are in GMT, Universal Time. And yeah, looks like Stuart has arrived, and a few places en route. I like old places that haven't changed. to the Red Lion at Lightwater, and yeah, Easter stuff still up there. And so it was just the three of us, and that's just a record of what we ate, including my favourite. So that was the trip there, back home via the windmill, over the border, past the Beresteed Hotel, and home. And there's a squirrel. Saw him out the window, wasn't closed circuit TV. Yeah, looking at the tracker. Yeah, anybody can see by the contact page. And that's the route out to the Red Lion and time at the Red Lion. And then back home. Yeah, just here. So, looks like a walk down to the village. Probably getting materials, yeah, so looking along the railway. For the sundial, hello pussycat on guard duty. Yes, making sure I had enough of those metal numbers. And then June took me run out, we went to Ascot Hardware, and it's all basically down to the remaining materials before we put them in the right place. Yeah, so close to that time, 6 o'clock in the evening, I guess that was summertime, so that would be 5 o'clock GMT, which is what we're talking about for the sundial. And I thought, yes, a second one of those old saws. I'm not sure it was June's dad or my dad or mine. Right sort of shape for the cast in the shadow. And yes, they're watching, I think it was, I don't know, a Marvel film. I'm doing the closed circuit TV check starting from midnight running forward. These aren't all the visits, but just a representative sample. So a fox, and that was a fox and a hedgehog, and that's fascinating. The hedgehog say, "Oh, it's a fox, so what?" And just sort of goes under the fox, and the fox is fairly relaxed about it as well. So 0525 is when the camera switched to colour from the mode during the night, black and white, and now I'm running backwards from midnight. So a similar pattern of foxes and hedgehogs at the front and at the back. After the peanuts, of course. There's little footprints which are probably from the fox. PIR light working brilliantly. Doesn't scare the wildlife, but means we can easily see, yes, there's something there. So through to when the camera switched, 1851, that's GMT times, by the way. I've left that in GMT rather than summertime. Yeah, there's Lady. They're relaxing and watching that film. I had a bit of a doze, woke up, and Michelle's still watching that, so time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Thursday the 4th of April 2024 is 7 minutes of photos, including this 3-minute summary at the start. Yes, a little bit of work in the garden, but not very much. The main thing was the trip up, yeah, sundial stuff, and Toadie overseeing it. Trip up to Coventry to return Michelle and her cat Lady. But I thought, yes, get a decent road out of this. Oh yes, we had the fishmonger from Grimsby visit, just as we were getting the car ready. So off. So great deal is the photo trail, including going through the gap in the Chilterns, and Robin, rather than relying on the sat-nav, looking at the map and getting an idea what's coming ahead. So we're practically there, that graffiti on the bridge. So into Michelle's place, spend a few minutes there making sure Lady is settled in okay, and all the stuff is out and unloaded, and then we're off again. But this time we've got the sat nav switched on, past a few landmarks. I'm checking the route, and yeah, getting back near home now, coming through Cranbourne and then Ascot and into Sunninghill, past the Courts Hall and the theatre, Chapman's, lots of other landmarks that are in the photo trail, and back home. And yeah, out of the car, Toadie greets us and settled back inside, and yeah, looking at, anybody could see where we were on the tracker, where the tracker was, and see that we got safely back home here. There's Toadie relaxing, and June very sensibly encouraged Samantha to learn how to do the cooking. Oh yes, some WhatsApp chat on interesting subjects which overlap with Coventry very much, further a particular music style. And yeah, and she's watching Renegades, whatever the name was, I don't know, interesting. Yeah, Robin doing the closed circuit TV check, foxes. Oh, and a bat, for the first time, glimpsed the bat on the closed circuit TV. Yes, there's the hedgehog coming for the peanuts. Toadie relaxing. So that's time for bed, and that's the end of the summary of the photo trail. Now into all the photos in the order they were shot. Yes, so first time I took a look at the garden, particularly if the sun came out, in order to get some more reference positions on the sundial. But the plants are coming along nicely, including the Gunra manticata in the bog garden area, and the hawthorns coming along nicely as well, beginning to shoot. So it looks as though, right, taking a look at the route up. Oh yes, just to say anybody could see that we were not having a problem, and that we got there and back okay. Bit of background work, there was video for the day before, like I'm doing right now for this one. Yeah, the sun was coming on and out, and of course the sundial that's being worked on is based on casting the shadow of a globe, which is closer to the correct position for a sundial pointer, and that's the reference sundial. There's Toadie coming out to see what I was up to. Yeah, so grab the chance when the sun's out and get a position, and of course it's most useful if it's on the hour. There's the three wise robins. Yes, glimpse of the patio area, that hasn't changed much. And yes, Toadie overseeing us getting ready to go. So we're getting stuff loaded into the car, including Michelle's TV, and yes, water, and just wondering when I'm going to get round to improving the soak away. It's mostly just a load of mud and silt that needs to be got out of it. Just a chance of the photo trail showing stuff around the side of the house for anybody who's helps us with, I suppose you call it, garden and house maintenance. That's looking at the so-called duck pond without any ducks in it, but it's the second pond, and generally exploring around, so we've got a record of what it was on that day and that hour. Right, now looking at the mapping, yeah, Robin's tracker, and yes, June said that we had the Phillips Navigator road atlas, which I remember was one of the best ones that we'd found, and so there's a comparison of the mapping on the Navigator, which is good, with the one that we had been using, the AA one. Here's the fishmonger from Grimsby arriving. Had a quick visit, but lovely. And I said, a bit of maintenance needed on that. Battle damage notice, it was beginning to rub off. Yeah, sun came out, so made a note of the direction, and that was close to 12 o'clock BST, which of course is 11 o'clock in the morning GMT. Yeah, I saw a butterfly, a yellow one, which looked like a cabbage white, and I thought, I wonder whether we can identify it. And I must admit, my observer's book of butterflies that I had since a child with other observer's books didn't have the answer. There was that big, not sure what you call him, but he's I would say top cat is the nearest description by the way the other cats, particularly Bentley, behaved towards it. He was roaming around. Still not sure which house he comes from. Right, that's just looking at the mapping, including Street View for the final legs going into Coventry. Making sure we got everything. And so, yeah, I think the car's packed. June's driving. Of course, Robin still doesn't have his driving licence, so June has to do all the driving. Yeah, that great big rock, we decided a better place. Michelle had got that from Saskia, I think, and had intentions to put it in her garden. So we put it in a more sensible place in case we had to stop suddenly. Through the village, past a few landmarks, out of Sunninghill, past the Victory Field, so we're on their way into Ascot. That was the courthouse. On the edge of Ascot, through Cranbourne, and where are we going through next? Well, we're making a Holyport on our way out to, yes, that, the Booper place that my mum was in. And yeah, everything managed to get in there. That looks like, yeah, coming through the Chilterns, the tunnel, well, not tunnel, gorge I suppose you'd call it, man-made. And so we're out on the main road, and every now and again I'm consulting the paper map, which gives me a warning what things we might see en route, like going over a river. Not so much navigation as, well, it is a backup for navigation, so you've got it in your head if the sat-nav failed. Looks like a, oh yes, yes, phone calls with first Selena, then Masood Khan across the road. So I had to explain where we were and that we might lose communication soon. And of course June would be tired by the time we got back. So we're now getting very close to the nice area of Coventry, as Michelle would say. Yeah, lovely pub that. And yeah, under one bridge and then the next bridge, oh, I like that graffiti on it, and into Michelle's road, up to her door. So now a matter of unloading the car and moving the stuff into the house. Yeah, I always I like that targeted advertising addressing. Apparently we get it as well. Yeah, so bits of artwork and stuff around Michelle's place. And yeah, look out, she's got ideas for the back garden, but all these things take time. Lady seems to have settled in okay after exploring around, looking at the watch. Yeah, plenty of time to get away after making sure we're ready for the journey. So June quite sensibly put the her phone onto Google Maps for navigation. And yeah, coming past a few things, student accommodation that's been built recently, a few landmarks in Coventry. I like that window, and yeah, lovely patches of land that locals can walk around. So we're out on that road, which isn't the recommended route, but in fact it's the route we take. It's a pleasant route and simple. And I think, yeah, we made a mistake there. It was basically the marking of the exit wasn't the route we had to take because of all the roadworks and things. It wasn't clear, so June, like most people, would make a mistake because you end up effectively doing a U-turn. Anyhow, we get back on the road we were going to go, and yes, we're well on our way home now, coming through the Chilterns, past High Wycombe, and that's where we come off normally to go through or past Marlow. Oh, that yes, I should have enlarged that picture. That was a car that had gone on the road. I'm sure nobody was hurt, but I hope the guy, it probably was a young guy, was suitably embarrassed by it. But you know, don't know the circumstances. Yeah, so getting, yeah, that's Cranbourne, I think, the school that Steve Gurney went to. Yeah, pubs. And Ascot, look on the map, and yeah, past what used to be the Wells pub house, and into Sunninghill, and the Cords Hall, the theatre, the Rajvuj, I can't remember the name of that, yeah, Sun Cafe on the right, Chapman's Ironmongers on the left, 3-1 Barber Shop and others further down, including the new Tesco Express, La Sorrentina, Nanu's, yeah, back home, 22 Armitage Court, yes, garden sculpture given by June, a couple of years ago or now, as a birthday present. Into the house, greeted by Toadie, who had been outside, heard us arrive, and so decided, oh, I'll come in. And what else? Oh yeah, looked on the tracker. Yeah, June sent out a WhatsApp family message, and I said, oh, I thought, well, anybody would know whether we got home. Yeah, I sent a message or two on the family WhatsApp group. Yeah, so yeah, anybody could see where we were at any one time. They leave it on the screen on whatever platform, and they'd see us moving along the road several times a minute. But he says that was where we made a mistake. Ended up having to do effectively a U-turn. Right, then got back home to 22 Armitage Court, just here, with Toadie and other junk, including the spot tracker on the robot boat, which is being carried around for the moment in the car as a means of testing it, particularly at low battery power. And what's good is it's still working when the battery is getting low, and that shows same thing where we are, but updated less frequently. Of course, it's using SATCOM, so it's not reliant on mobile phone coverage. Yeah, I looked at the rain. Looks as though we were going to get some reasonable rain. I thought, oh, it's an opportunity to test things. So I took some photos of what the water level was, an inch or so low from the overflow point, and I thought, well, we'll just see what happens when we got the rain. And in fact, the rain didn't really materialise, but I was also interested. Bit of rain usually means the soak away. That's a job to be done. Yeah, June's doing her usual relaxing combination of what's on TV. Showed Samantha, yeah, we got some fish there. Then there's two-tone music genre, and those people, that was my sister and David. First reaction looked like Coppers, but apparently that style of music, known as other things as well, was born in Coventry. Yeah, so that's what she's watching. Renegade Nell, I think it is, set in the 1700s, and yeah, amusing thing June choosing to watch on Disney. I think that was the network. Yeah, there's the foxes, because I'm doing the closed circuit TV check from midnight. There's the hedgehog coming for the peanuts on the front porch, and also peanuts on the top bridge, and the light comes on nicely. So that was through till 05:13 GMT, so 06:13 when the cameras switched. So I'm now going backwards from midnight. Yeah, same pattern. That's an older fox, more mature fox than the little cub I think we saw earlier. And that's the PIR light being triggered by Toadie, I think. Yes, quite good. And there's a bat. It's the first time I'd caught that on closed circuit TV that I can remember. Clearly what it was, flitting across the picture just at one point. Oh, and there's that big black and white cat, and we're still not sure where it comes from. Somewhere locally, I should think. And there's the hedgehog, also on the triggering the light on the top bridge, and through to the camera switched at 1904 GMT, which was for night mode. So that's it. Oh yes, I thought, yes, the patio pictures aren't very good with flash. shows you whether we've had much rain. You can see whether it's dry or not. But no, we hardly had any, so it was no good as a test. So, time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Friday the 5th of April 2024. Less than 8 minutes of photos, including this 1.5-minute summary of the front. Yes, lots of things happened that day. It seems somebody went up and somebody had a missing door knocker, one of their neighbours, and miraculously that was solved. Yeah, peanuts arrived, and what else? Oh yes, a bit more work on the sundial. Really pretty well finished off. I was Bentley monitoring my work in the garden, of course, and yeah, towards the back end of the day, in the naughty corner, June watching something on the television. I think that's Renegade Nell. I'm doing the closed circuit TV check. The foxes and the hedgehogs coming for the peanuts, and unusually a interloper fox, a confrontation, and I think the older fox actually crept away, so I have got that wrong. Anyhow, the hedgehog doesn't get any problem getting his peanuts all the time. And that was the back end of the check, and yeah, June's watching something else now. I think Return from Paradise. So, time for bed, end of that summary of the photo trail, and now all the photos in the order they were shot. Yes, that's Bentley on guard duty. The total deaths graph came out from the Office of National Statistics, much broader than COVID that, and suitably labelled and very carefully not to damage the door. That was apparently placed in position by somebody who looked remarkably like Robin. If anybody saw it on closed circuit TV, as yes, I saw somebody arrive in there, but you don't know. And the guy came with the peanuts, and yeah, and what else? Yeah, because we can relax and often see things happening on the closed circuit TV live. So yeah, tidied up the peanuts. Turned out I had a spare bag, but it matter of putting them in the right place. Yeah, that drain still needs unblocking to soak away, but a bit more tinkering with the sundial. Whenever the sun was out, even if it was brief, got a chance to check the direction of the shadow, including the new shadow from the globe, which I think theoretically is better. Yes, that was the camera tilted. Unfortunately, switched to portrait mode, didn't want that. Yeah, so a bit more hard work by Robin, including creosoting, put things back in the same place so that anybody can find them. And it was like, oh yes, that was the the litter tray from Lady being here, and June insisted, you know, they went, for example, in the utility room, and that one, where was that going to go? Oh, that was going to go in the greenhouse or near the greenhouse. I would have put them down, tucked under the bush, near where the litter goes. Very simple. Anyhow, not to worry. Got to follow instructions. Oh yes, looks, June had sent a PayPal request for the peanuts and also some letters, I think. So we're taking a trip out now, just a local trip, and that was to the bank, and they've got a kind of temporary office there. But when we went there, here to help, it says. Note, unfortunately due to staff sickness, we've had to take a sickie, I think we used to call it. Yeah, no alternative staff apparently. Not to worry. And coming back through a few landmarks in the village till we get back home at 22 Armitage Court. Yes, there's the shadow from the sundial, and of course the sundials are in GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, or Universal Time, and of course we're now on British Standard Time, so 4 o'clock on my watch is in fact 3 o'clock GMT. And yeah, so now sticking as a best guess the those silvery letters in the right places, and the answer is only by testing. Put that back in the place it belongs, and the spare letters, old brass ones there, put those back. Yeah, so there's the globe, and I thought, yeah, so I've had those for some time that we got from a charity shop. Perhaps that's a good place to put them. Oh, Bentley patrolling, and decided to check out behind that boat, old boat seat. Yeah, I couldn't resist showing some of the garden ornaments we've got. Don't know whose idea it was to get that one. Yeah, had a bit of a doze in front of the closed circuit TV. I did a bit of work on that decoy for the heron. Filled it up with temporary foam, kept on sinking, so then left it to dry and popped it in. That was after putting some paint on it. Put it in the pond, and yeah, so back end of the day now. Yeah, that's that decoy in the pond. Decoy for the heron, that is. Distract him from real fish. She's watching. That's Renegade Nell, I think. Very well put together, even though I would describe it as a load of rubbish. That's a bit unfair on that particular one. That is quite good. Yeah, so here's the hedgehog happily sharing the peanuts, and that was that confrontation between, on the left, I would describe as a fairly mature fox, and that one looks a little younger to me. Anyhow, it might have even been the odd bite, but I think the younger one ended up out. No problem for the hedgehog. And of course there's the back bridge, or the top bridge. 0527 is where the camera's switched to colour for the day, so I'm now going back from midnight. Similar sort of pattern of foxes and hedgehogs coming for the peanuts, and yeah, and me doing a bit of work at the back end of the evening. Hedgehogs, and the camera switched to night, 1859 GMT. The times are all in GMT still on the closed circuit TV, and Toadie's chilling out, sleeping. She's now watching Return from Paradise, I think that is. So time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Saturday the 6th of April 2024, 6.5 minutes of photos, including this 1.5 minute summary at the start. Yes, pussycats, including Toadley and Bentley. Hello Bentley. And took a walk down to the village and got a load of shopping. Loads of other things went on. Yeah, so came back really loaded with shopping, but luckily Paul from next door saw me, gave me a lift back. Paul is the same house holder as Bentley. Yes, and sent out a rather belated "How are you?" email to my friends around the world. And video chat with the family, and yes, joined by Toadie, and June watches wildlife thing narrated animals, I think it was, or mammals. I look at the closed circuit TV for the night before. Foxes and hedgehogs come into the front porch and the back garden, and yes, sad news on the news, of course. And although there was some nice stuff, I got replies already from some of these as I sent out. Anyhow, that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot. Yes, a little bit of work goes on in the garden, which is mostly calibration of that sundial, and of course Toadie coming in. And what else have we got? Yeah, so when there's a chance and the sun's out, I get a chance to check the direction of the shadow on the sundial cast by that globe, and I've got the numbers roughly in position now, so that over the coming weeks I can get it right. Oh yes, the water squirter kept going off. That's important to guard the pond from the heron. So I think that was the vegetation that was hitting that. Yes, flowers are coming out lovely. That was forget-me-not. There's toady prowling around. So yes, I took a walk down to the village and went into several places to come back absolutely loaded with shopping, including a load of Red Bull from Sunninghill Wines. And yeah, that was the last place I went into after I think sandwich spreads, but I ended up getting other stuff as well. Very heavy, so I'd walk a few yards and stop, but Paul from opposite gave me a lift, which is great. And yeah, June's playing video games and watching tennis and relaxing. Bentley comes over, watched by Toady on the high ground. Those two cats do get up to mischief, but Bentley is the senior one who does all the training. Yeah, when the sun comes out, especially near the hour, I pop over and I've started to get the numbers glued temporarily, at least, into roughly the right place so that I can calibrate them. There's Bentley relaxing. There's Toady prowling around, probably looking for mice. They caught another one that day. Yeah, so that's my reference sundial. So 5:5, which would be 4 GMT, which is what the sundial measures. Oh yes, so pretty well the same email, and I would normally send this off much earlier, probably in January, but things have been so busy it's been delayed, so just started the process of sending off that to my many friends. Yes, June's rustled up food, so yeah, a video chat with family on WhatsApp, and joined by Toady. He was biting me there. June took that picture. Yes, he's never very well behaved. So the video chat goes on for quite a while. I do the closed circuit TV check for the night. June is watching, I think that's Mammals, narrated by Mr. Attenborough. Closed circuit TV check from midnight running forward. Yes, there's the fox on the front porch, eating the peanuts, of course. And that's the hedgehog on the back porch being caught by the thing. And there's a bat. Yeah, so another glimpse of a bat going across. And yeah, there's a hedgehog on the front porch. And the fox. There's several foxes. And the fox on the top bridge in the back. And that's where the camera switched at 0508 GMT to colour for the day. So I'm now running back from midnight. And yes, foxes and hedgehogs on the front porch. That one has triggered the PIR light. And through to 1904 when the camera switched to black and white for the night. Yes, sad news on the television, of course. And already getting replies, including a good one from Gordon. And yes, that was shared with some friends. Yeah, so time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 7th of April 2024. 8.5 minutes of photos, including this 2-minute summary at the start. Yes, grabbing a few chances to look at things in the garden and Toady relaxing. And we took a visit for the first time this year to the NGS place and the Grange. And that was well worth it. And wasn't that far away. First time being there. First time it had been open for that charity, I think, in recent years. Anyhow, we thoroughly enjoyed that, walking around, and yeah, lots of things. And yeah, there's picked up some spare copies of the NGS brochure. and made our way back home. And we were followed in by the Mansells. And yeah, a few minutes chat there, just a coincidence. And yeah, checked the trackers, and yeah, that showed my walk around, or our walk around the garden back home. Yeah, back end of the day, took the food into the naughty corner, but also sent out some emails to old friends in different overlapping networks, like places I'd worked, and also got some feedback from a couple, which was that was good news. And yeah, did the closed circuit TV check for the previous night, including hedgehogs, and there was a glimpse of a little mouse. Barely you could see him, but he did show up. And yeah, so yeah, totally relaxing. Time for bed, so that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot. Yeah, June relaxing in the kitchen, me grabbing the chance. Well, it says Monday the 7th. The Monday is wrong on that watch, by the way, but the time is within a second or so. And yeah, it's totally relaxing. And there's the place we saw that was open, not that far away, yeah, 20 minutes away. And so June was persuaded to take a drive out to visit it, and through the village, a few landmarks, and yeah, at the edge of Ascot, under the racecourse, past the old Hatchet, through Cranbourne, and basically a nice little run out. But of course the important bit was when we got there, and we had been in the village before for lots of reasons, but it was the first time we'd been into that garden. And I understand from the owners that it had been open for other charities, and that's why we didn't know of it. Yes, so we go in, and the swimming pool was quite something else. It was a combined swimming pool and pond, which reminded us of our friends from Germany, but in Austria. And lovely surroundings in terms of little sheep out in the adjacent field, and where they keep the compost and things. And tennis courts, yes, it seems the family were also crazy about tennis. And yeah, June of course enjoyed the greenhouses, and absolutely lovely. Yes, bird boxes. I'm not sure whether any were occupied, but they had the same fashion as myself. Lots of lovely plants coming up. Yeah, wisteria, how about that for a decent wisteria? Yeah, lovely stuff. And log pile. Yeah, picked up a couple of copies of the NGS brochure. Thought we'd give them to friends. So then off on our way home. As I say, not much more than 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Through Cranbourne, I think. And getting close to Ascot now. Yes, under the racecourse. And into Sunninghill. Past the Courts Hall. The theatre. The Raj Vuj. Chapman's Ironmongers. 3-1 Barbers. And yes, to the picture of Raj. They'd seen us and followed us in just for a minute or two chat on the drive. And yeah, Tony's relaxing as always. I checked the tracker. Yes, anybody interested could say, oh, that's where Robin is, or that's where his tracker is. And yeah, including the walk around the garden and the journey back. And yeah, back home just here. Carl Bentley, he said, yes, I've had whatever it was, lunch, it's time to go out, so I let him out. He's too lazy to go out through the cat flap. And yeah, a few snaps there. Oh yes, the spot tracker. I was going to see how well that was giving positions, and yeah, glance to the garden, probably because it was sun would come out occasionally. You think, oh, I'll get a chance to see which direction the shadow's going. Of course, it's more difficult later in the day because we've got trees shielding it, but still useful to the letters, or rather the numbers, are roughly in position, and I thought with time I'll get them pretty well bang on. Yeah, so time to eat. But before the closed circuit TV check, there was a few emails, a few more sent out to ex-friends from City University and where we worked over in NATO, or where I did, and back at ESAMS, and got some lovely emails came back from while I'd gone out the day before, and basically, yeah, sometimes you get sad news and sometimes it was good news, and so that looks like the closed circuit TV check. The PIR going off, probably because of the hedgehog on the top bridge at the back, and there's one at the front, and there's a little mouse. I could see his movement, and yeah, there's a fox coming for peanuts. These are just a few samples. 0505 GMT is when the cameras switch to colour for the day, so now I'm going back from midnight. There's a hedgehog triggering the PIR lamp at the back. 1903 GMT is where the cameras switch to black and white for the night, and time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Monday the 8th of April 2024, 7 minutes of photos including 1.5 minutes summary at the front. Yes, one or two things including popping out to the bank, and this time yeah, it was 2 trips because Robin had put it in the wrong pocket, the paperwork, but anyhow, all sorted, and on the way back we checked out a few places, partly driven by where the red kites were seen, because they're nesting locally, and so we took a route back. Anyhow, did a few checks on things like the sundial, the numbers temporarily blued seem to be in the right place, and a dialogue with Ted in the States resulted in me going through some old slides, 35mm slides from 1981. Lovely stuff. Anyhow, back end of the day, June's watching Il Cacciatore, the hunter, and I do the closed circuit TV check for the night before. Hedgehogs and foxes coming to the door. But then I continue watching that, yeah, very dramatic drama from Mafia days in the 90s. So time for bed, and that's the end of the summary. So now in the order of the photos, in the order they were shot. Yes, there's Toadie in Robin's naughty corner, and yeah, that barbecue is falling apart, so perhaps that's on our shopping list. And whenever it looks as though the sun's going to come out, I go out to do a check, and the flowers are coming up lovely, including the dandelions. And yeah, so then we're off to the bank. The last time we went there, they'd put it simply, I think somebody was having a sickie. Anyhow, this time, yeah, there's a trail of pictures on the way there. It's right on the edge of Ascot, and silly Robin gets there, but I can't find the paperwork. Stupid boy. So we go back, and of course then it was getting near their lunchtime. So we're back through the village, past a few landmarks, back home, and there was the paperwork, and eventually it turned out I'd put it in my top pocket instead of my back pocket. Anyhow, yeah, some dialogue going on, resulting with my emails going out around the world, including good old friends moving from Barnstable to near Epping Forest, and that looks like another trip out there. So what's this? Yeah, that's the Victory Field. And what was the Wells? Oh, this is probably the trip to the bank. And this time Robin had the right paperwork, so it was all sorted. And then we decided to swing back past the tennis courts, and they've had troubles with flooding, so the photo trail has got some leads to follow up in terms of the people who did the work. There's a glimpse of the red kites, apparently nesting locally, so we took a slight detour going back, a few familiar places to us and the family, and back home, yeah, checked the sundial when it looked as though the sun was coming out occasionally, and yeah, so spots we like that one, that was 0200 GMT, which is about 3 o'clock, and 3 o'clock BST. So that's looking good. And yeah, just a few snaps around the garden. Peanuts, notice they're getting in a bad state, so I thought, yeah, that needed to be cleaned up as well. So that patch of porch was basically cleaned, and then Peanuts put down. And yeah, some dialogue there. Oh yes, yes, there had been some anger, and I inspected the damage that is easily fixed, and I don't think that was too much worse than what I'd left it in. I think that was on the previous Friday. The evidence is all there. Anyhow, found those lovely old 35mm slides from 1981, prompted by the dialogue with Ted in the States. What I was actually looking for was the pictures we took of the eclipse in 1999, but anyhow, had some spin-off. So getting to the back end of the day now. Juna's rustled up the dinner. I take it into Robin's naughty corner, and yes, June watches this drama Il Cacciatore, the Hunter, with Italian subtitles, or subtitles in English. Yeah, dramatic thing about mafia days in the late 90s. Yeah, closed circuit TV check through till 0505 when the camera switched to colour for the day, and then going backwards from midnight, similar sort of pattern of foxes and hedgehogs coming for the Peanuts at the front and the back. There's the hedgehog, and yeah, that's a younger fox by the look of it. Hedgehog again, through till when the camera switched to black and white for the night at 1917 GMT. The closed circuit TV is still in GMT, and that's the Cacciatore, which I must admit I was watching with June. That was the last episode. And time for bed, so that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 9th of April 2024, less than 6 minutes of photos, including over a minute summary here. Yes, the women went to tennis, the trackers showed them, they got back, and what else? Oh yes, watched by Bentley, the guard cat from opposite. Hello Bentley. And June then went out and did the big shop at Martin Serron, that was, Tesco. Oh, I had a long 1.3 hour call from Paul. That was lovely. And yeah, had to get the car going again after charging the battery to keep that car ready. And yeah, late in the evening, Time to eat in the naughty corner. June watches something on the TV. I do the closed circuit TV check. That night there was really just hedgehogs, but also a glimpse of a mouse. You could see his eyes. Just hedgehogs basically. No foxes that night, I don't think. And so time for bed, and that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos, the order they were shot. Yes, glimpse of a robin, and yes, they all come. All the birds come for things like peanuts. Yeah, looking at the rain. Yeah, a little bit of rain coming through, but didn't affect their tennis. Came in after that, and yeah, making a note of a few things here. Basically, that's the tracker that's going in the robot boat. Tracker that yeah, seems to show well. Updates several times a minute when they're moving, and looks like they're on their way home. Yeah, so should be back in a few minutes. Just there, that's where we are. And yes, shows them arriving, and yeah, they've just arrived. So I'll go out basically to get a few extra snaps, including the little tracker. And I saw it was 10 o'clock BST then. Yeah, and the tracker says they're back. And also the Satcom's tracker as well. Then a long call from Paul. Yeah, I think that was an hour and 20 minutes. But yeah, good. And what else? Oh yes, June went off to the supermarket to do the big shop for the week. And whenever there's a bit of sun, I go out and check the directions of the shadow from that globe, and also on the conventional sundial. And of course 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 BST is 2 o'clock GMT. Yeah, water squirter was going off due to I think vegetation moving in front of it. Of course that'll run the batteries flat. It looks like the women are on their way back from, or June is on the way back from the big shop, and sure enough I'm out there in time to give her all that hard work of help of carrying all that heavy shopping through into the kitchen where it can be put away, and Samantha came out and helped as well. And yeah, the car needed charging. That's my car being in the garage waiting to have work done on it, but basically at least every week I need to run the engine, and if it's too flat it needs charging up. So there's Bentley, and then after charging up it starts okay, so let it run in for a while to charge up the battery fully. Yeah, just having a quick look at those temporary mirrors and the reflections we get there. There's Bentley again on guard duty. Just curious whatever comes down their drive. Ah yes, there was more emails going out. It's not more than once a year really, and it's been very late this year, and it's great to get news from friends around the world. Yeah, so back end of the day, and closed circuit TV check. This isn't all the events, but going from midnight forward until 0509, there was only hedgehogs appearing, and now running back from midnight. Yeah, again hedgehogs, and a glimpse of a mouse. Just see his eyes there, and triggered the PIR as well. That worked well, and so did the hedgehog at the front. So through till then the camera switched to black and white for the night at 19:10 GMT, that is. That's how I've got it set. Then the news, time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Wednesday the 10th of April 2024, 8.5 minutes of photos, including less than 2 minutes summary at the start. Yes, that was Bentley. Yeah, when the sun was out, got a few more calibration positions, found out how numbers have to be moved on the sundial. Yeah, day that the ONS released the graph of total deaths. Yes, had a play with my new toy. And I've used this photo trail to document the thing. And yeah, pub lunch with grumpy old friends. That was enjoyable, as was the coffee afterwards and continued discussion. And yeah, the tracker shows where I'd been, or where the tracker had been. Duke of Edinburgh, Woodside, and back here, just here. Yeah, and did a little bit more. The spare spot tracker was a badly soldered joint, and it was last year's holiday that I tried to get that sorted, and I have now. And back end of the day, June watches The Red Door, an Italian drama, and I do the closed circuit TV check. Yes, visits of the hedgehogs and the fox, and sometimes both together. Some of them get on all right. And a glimpse of a mouse on the top bridge just outside the patio door. And the hedgehogs, of course, and Toadie relaxing. Listen to the Radio 4 news, watch the TV news, and time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. And now the photos in the order that they were shot. Yes, sun came out briefly, and so that would have been about 10 o'clock BST, about 0900, and see the direction of the shadow, and saw, yes, those numbers need to be moved around. They're nowhere near correct. So since they're temporarily glued, that was fairly easy to do. So they're hopefully getting closer to the right positions, and with time and enough checks when the sun's out, get that right. So that shows June at tennis on both types of tracker. And yeah, there's me updating the COVID page with the latest graph. And yes, that was had come through on Amazon, and very good product, well documented, and lots of possible use can be made of it. And yeah, so looks like the steward arrived to provide the taxi service, chauffeur service to the Duke of Edinburgh at Woodside. Lovely meal, lovely conversations, interesting surroundings. And because they take the menus away before I get a chance to photograph them, so you can't compare prices. And what else? Oh yes, got back home, and yeah, so had coffee at Dickie's and chats on lots of subjects, and then the guys leave. I look on the tracker just to see that it was working. Yes, that shows where I was. And back here. So, oh yes, he pointed out Bentley got his favourite position in the utility room in the laundry basket. Okay, I got that working very quickly, following the instructions, but I thought as an aid to my memory, I have basically got photos of, I think, all the relevant pages of the handout, and it's all a matter of just pressing the right buttons in the right order, and very, very simple with the instructions. So June's, yes, playing video games and watching TV. I put the peanuts out. Bentley's on guard duty looking out the front window. Hello, Bentley. Yes. And yes, I thought that was a badly soldered joint. It was all falling apart, and thing would come on and off. And I had spent a little bit of time on holiday and given up on it. But so I went into the lab, the summer house, got the right materials, which is the solder and things, and got it working, I think. Checked, and yeah, it needed to get a signal, so I had to put it near the window. So put it back in its little box with an option of plugging a solar panel into it, and put it on Robin's Corner, watched by Bentley. But it took a while and nothing hadn't updated, so I thought the logic needed a movement, so I walked a few yards, and that's obviously it should come up, and fingers crossed. I left it there to get a decent signal. By then June had rustled up the food, and then I noticed it had updated. It had moved across, and pretty well within a couple of yards, a couple of meters, and the correct time, of course. So, and of course it also sent an email, the movement alert email, which had a location, so I just followed that link just out of curiosity, and yes, it came to exactly the right position. Well, if you call a meter or two exact. And yeah, so then put that. So the one that had been in the car, which is the one destined to go in the tracker, has been brought out to be worked on, to be put in the boat, and did the closed circuit TV check starting from midnight going forward. Yes, there's the hedgehog. Well, there's more than one hedgehog visits. I think one's a young baby one. And the fox, that looks a young fox to me. And yes, sometimes they're both together. They're quite relaxed about each other's presence. So, various pictures of those. Interesting, the night before there hadn't been any visits by the foxes. Just varies, I suppose, from night to night. And then a glimpse of a mouse. Very difficult to see, but when you see the movement and its eyes catching the light, you do. So that was through to 04:59 GMT when the camera switched to colour for the day. So now I'm running back from midnight. Again, looks like a young fox, and that I think is a hedgehog, making the PIR light switch on near the top bridge just outside the patio door of the lounge. And there's hedgehog, and through to camera switching at 19:21 GMT to black and white. And yes, of course, Toadie's relaxing. I'm listening to the Radio 4 news headlines, and then TV news, and time for bed. That's the end of the photo trail. Thursday, the 11th of April 2024. Less than 7 minutes of photos, including this 2-minute summary at the start. Yes, checking the sundial, and the key thing is their old barbecue is absolutely falling apart. So the most important trip was to go out, getting a few odds and ends, and the most important thing, after enjoying an ice cream at Longacres, was June chose her barbecue for a delivery on the Saturday following. Yeah, the tracker shows where Robin's tracker was, if not Robin, and various places looking for things I find. That's for the robot boat work. And yeah, so back home to just here. Yes, there's Bentley, and there was an interesting encounter between Toadie and Bentley, a bit of playful fighting, if you call it that, on the closed circuit TV. That comes near the end. Toadie, of course, joined me, and I took my dinner into the naughty corner where I could do the closed circuit TV checks and see the hedgehogs and foxes sometimes sharing the peanuts on the front porch and also the back, including a glimpse of a mouse. And yeah, so obviously the full photo trail is further back. And yes, June watches Porta Rossa, or the Red Door. Time for bed, so that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot. Yes, when the sun is out I get a chance to check things like the shadow direction on the sundial, and take a few snaps because everything's growing very quickly. And yeah, so that's what needs to be replaced, ideally by something which is pretty well identical size. And so we take a trip out, but the reason we visited quite a few places, oh yes, I took the tracker with me. That was the spare spot tracker that I fixed the day before. Yeah, through a few landmarks on the way into Ascot and Ascot Hardware. No, he didn't have any wire. June filled up with petrol. Then Screwfix around the corner in South Ascot. And then Wicks in Bracknell. Oak Tree, well, I did at least get some chicken manure for the lawns. And where are we going next? Oh yes, Longacres. And yes, I enjoyed an ice cream and a few minutes chatting with the guys. And the key thing is, June chose this particular barbecue, and delivery was included on the following Saturday. And yeah, back on our way home through the village, a few landmarks. Back home at 22 Armitage Court, there's Toadie greeting me, or us. And there's the tracker, the Spot T2 tracker. So I probably checked a few of the trackers, starting with that so-called spare Spot T2 tracker. And yeah, that was pretty well okay. Doesn't report quite as often. And then checking my pendant tracker, the SOS tracker, and of course that showed everywhere I went, including home base, Oak Tree Garden Centre, and the route back home to just here. So what's next? Oh yes, that is definitely falling apart. The old barbecue we've had quite a few years, probably about 10 years. Had a bit of a doze, woke up, and enjoyed seeing the cats. That's Bentley, and there was an encounter which I picked off some frames off of the close-up TV. So Toadie rushed over to Bentley, and there was a bit of playful fighting, if you call it that. Wasn't much reaction from Bentley, and quite enjoyable. Toadie came in to relax above my naughty corner. I had a bit of a doze, and time for dinner. I take it into the naughty corner where the chair is much more comfortable than the kitchen. Went through the closed circuit TV check, starting from midnight, running forward. Yes, combinations of foxes and hedgehogs. Interesting to see the interaction between them. A lot of it probably driven by the age and experience of the fox. And yes, so hedgehog certainly likes the peanuts. Yes. That's a younger fox, I think. He left the peanuts. And that is a fox on the top bridge. And there's a glimpse of a mouse. You can see his eyes there. Yes. That's a younger fox, I think. Yes, he decided not to tangle with a hedgehog. So that's when the camera switched the 0504 GMT to colour for the day. So I'm now running back from midnight. Similar pattern of the same visitors, hedgehogs and foxes for the peanuts on the front porch. And through to when the cameras switched at 1905 from colour for the day, 1905 GMT that is, and June's watching Porta Rossa, the Red Door, interesting Italian drama. So time for bed, And that's the end of the photo trail. Friday the 12th of April 2024, 8.5 minutes of photos, including this 2-minute summary at the start. Yes, yeah, doesn't take very long, but checking the sundial directions when the sun was out and gradually putting the numbers in the right places. And yes, we had a neighbours move in. That was an interesting process. Lovely guys. And yeah, we spent a lot of time disassembling the old barbecue that was falling apart anyhow, and we ended up taking it round to Ascot Metal Recycling, which saved us a long drive over to Maidenhead, and also went into Bray Lake, and that was fantastic. The work they'd done since I last spoke to them of clearing all the willow mostly around the edge. Popped into Mantua Models and back home. Yeah, the tracker showed where my tracker, if not Robin, has been, including Bray Lake. And yeah, and we had a surprise visit from the Vansells. That was lovely. They didn't spend very long, but yeah, that was and it only took me 5 minutes to put down the chicken manure at the front and the back, and 10 minutes to sprinkle water. So that was a job very quickly done. And that was that big black and white cat. I still don't know where it comes from. But yeah, so this is the back end of the day. So Robin's eating in the naughty corner. June is watching Porta Rossa, the Red Door Italian drama. And yes, hedgehogs and foxes sometimes sharing the peanuts at the same time, at the front and at the back. And yeah, time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot. Yeah, the sun came out, so I popped out and looked at the direction of the shadow, and yeah, 10 o'clock BST is about 9 o'clock GMT. So temporarily glued the numbers into adjusted positions. Eventually we'd get those numbers in the right place. And then there was we had neighbours moving, not very far, but that was interesting conversations. Yeah, another reference position, and yeah, they're looking at something. Don't know what it was. Yeah, so that is the old barbecue, and very useful process of working together to find out how we took it apart. Yeah, had to have a rest break in the middle, but eventually we got it all disassembled, and looks like June put the washing out in the middle as well. Yeah, another chance to check the sun direction. Looked like close to midday GMT. Yeah, looking good. Looks like a lunch break here. And so we've got all the bits there, and we managed to get them into the car, some in the boot and some in the back. And June had the bright idea of going to Ascot Metal Recycling in just round the corner on the edge of Ascot, rather than all the way into Maidenhead where we would normally take junk. So there we are, going into the place, and the guy there said, yeah, no problem, put it down there. And so we did that, and then we thought, we'll take a run over to Bray Lake. Passed a few interesting places on the way. Bray Lake Water Sports, where Snoopy's robot boat has been tested for years, and they'd done good work of cutting back the willow, which is would have been a real problem in visibility if nothing else when we were testing the boat. And so the whole place is better than I think it has been ever. Across the water is Thames Hospice. So yeah, the whole place is lovely. So we're not sure when the boat will be ready, but that'll be the first thing we do, test it there. So I just took a few more pictures, and that was Bray Marina, just round the corner. But then on our way back home, popped into Mantua Models for a few minutes chat there, and back into Ascot. Yes, past the police station, past the racecourse stadium, past McLaren's and the Swinley pub. Back home and look at what's on the tracker. Yes, shows the journey that we made, including to Ascot Metal Recycling, and I popped into the White Puss office to ask after basically the Squirrel pub, and I think it was Debbie, and yeah, the other places visited, and back home just here. Yeah, that was the Google map image of Bray Lake Water Sports. Had a bit of a doze. It'd been a hard day. Yes. Woke up. I don't know, it wasn't a very long doze. And the Banzels had popped in on us. And so, yeah, showed them briefly the garden. Had a chat with them for a few minutes. And then they left. And I thought, time to put down that chicken manure that I'd bought recently. And it surprised me how quickly it was. I checked on the closed circuit TV, which these images are from, and it only took me 5 minutes to put it down on the front and the back lawns, and 10 minutes to sprinkle water. That includes getting things out. And there's that big black and white cat. We don't know where it comes from, but it's the only cat or anything that I've seen chase Bentley. That was on a video introduction some months ago now. Yeah, just looking at the water level. Yeah, evaporation and seepage into the vegetation means it's dropped an inch or two, but no more than that. And put out some bird feed and peanuts on the two large bird feeders that I'd hoped a red kite might take an interest in at some time. Back end of the day, eating in the naughty corner. June comes in and watches Porta Rossa, the Red Door, the Italian drama series, and yes, foxes and hedgehogs on the front porch, and interesting interaction between them. So the more experienced foxes tend to be fairly relaxed about hedgehogs. They just don't do anything silly like 0456 GMT is where the camera's switched to colour for the day. So I'm now running back from midnight, and there's a fox on the back porch just outside the patio door of the lounge. There's me putting the peanuts out, and that's where the camera's switched to black and white for the night at 1912 GMT. Yeah, so I think probably watch the news and time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Saturday the 13th of April 2024, 7.5 minutes of photos, including this 1.5-minute summary at the start. Yes, they played tennis first thing, and we took a trip to Longacres to pick up the barbecue, the new one, rather than wait for it to arrive the next day, Sunday. And we were able to put it together. Took a while, and lots of other things all happening in parallel. So yes, checking the sundial in terms of where the numbers went. Yeah, a bit of progress on the robot boat. I managed to find an old logger that worked and get it working. And yeah, what else? Oh yes, some good photos from Becky's young daughter, and family WhatsApp chat later in the day. Check the closed circuit TV. Yes, the hedgehogs and the foxes sharing the peanuts, and 2 hedgehogs at the same time. And what was rather unusual is the big black and white cat that we're not sure where it comes from. It seems that Toadie chased it off, although I suspect Toadie wanted to play and the cat didn't know the difference. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot, and lots of things were happening at the same time. So yes, when the sun was out, I checked that. I also checked the trackers, and that showed the women at tennis, and on their way back, so I better look busy when they arrive. And yes, so that worked well, and sure enough I was out there before they actually arrived. And yeah, a few pictures of a place where GPS has been tested with that garden sculpture that June got me over 2 years ago now. Yes, that little tracker worked well, despite where it was in the boot and upside down. And yes, we rang up Longacres, and the new barbecue wasn't going to be delivered till the next day, but we thought, it's just round the corner, see if we can get it in the car. So we popped into Longacres, and they already said, yeah, come to the click and collect, and that was a very straightforward process. The lads put it in the car, and of course it made it easier when the roof was down. Practically impossible without that. So back home, past a few landmarks, into Armitage Court, and yeah, so Samantha came out to help the process, how best to get it all out. And June's bright idea was to cut up of the box, and that's where it's got to go. Yes, took a chance to look at the trackers, and yes, that showed where we'd been to pick it up. And yeah, back home here. Yeah, June looking at the instructions. It was quite a complicated process. I had a bit of a doze at one point, I've been so busy. And we had a relaxation in the sunshine, and I got this lovely picture, naughty signs, and it seems some was being cooked up there. I don't know what mischief some of my family get up to. So yeah, so that was 2 o'clock GMT when it says 3 o'clock BST, so thought grab the chance to see the direction of the sun. And then I found this amongst a box of junk in the so-called lab summer house, and it was the old tracker that I couldn't find. Well, not tracker, a GPS logger, but it included a GPS, and it got it fired up with the software, and it found some of the old trips I'd made testing it back in 2019. And so yeah, it looked about it was working, and the instructions said what to do with it. And of course the key thing is it needed a long time after all these years to get a good GPS signal. So I left it on there where we got on with other work. Yeah, quick check of the sundial at 3 o'clock GMT. Few snaps of the garden, and what else? Yes, that's the Gunnerer Monte Carlo coming along nicely. And my old GPS software was able to show the raw data coming in from it, so I knew that it was working as a GPS. June was looking at the assembly guide for the new barbecue, and it was a complicated process, and it was definitely a two-person job. Case of doing it bit by bit carefully. And meanwhile I suddenly noticed the tracking was working, and there we are at the right position on a map. So that receiver, the GPS in it, was then working after all these years of being switched off. And there's the barbecue in place. So well done June and Robin. So a few snaps in the garden. Yeah, a little bit more work on that logger unit. Oh yes, adjusted the closed circuit TV camera that covers the porch area. Just a slight movement, bit better coverage. And ordered some wire. I couldn't get tin copper wire from any local places. If they had it, you couldn't tell by looking at it. Yeah, family WhatsApp video chat. And Toadie decided to interfere. So the chat started in the kitchen, and there's Toadie prowling around. No, you're not having any of the pizza. No. Yes, how about Samantha's? No. And I started the closed circuit TV check in the lounge, and there's a hedgehog arriving for peanuts, and there's a fox, And it's not unusual if fox is experienced and says, no, don't tangle with a hedgehog, but you can quite happily eat the peanuts a yard or even a foot away from the hedgehog. And there's 2 hedgehogs at the same time, through to when the camera switched at 04:55 GMT in the morning to colour for the day, and then I'm going backwards. And there is the toady stalking the big black and white cat, and we've seen that chase off Bentley. And so basically it was looking around behind the TV outside. Anyhow, interesting. Carry on with the check and hedgehogs, and through to the cameras switched to black and white for the night at 19:22 GMT. Time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 14th of April 2024. 8 minutes of photos, including this 1.5 minute summary at the start. Yeah, check in the directions of the sun for putting the numbers in the right place on the sundial. And we took a trip to a place open for the NGS charity, National Garden Scheme, Lord Wandsworth College. And yeah, that was an interesting visit, including cake and coffee, and then decided to come back across country and pop into Longacres. And I was after some trellis, and we got a special deal there because it was slightly damaged, but it was just the job to do a better job of the front of the so-called workshop. And I ended up putting some camouflage netting over it that we already had. So that was that. June was watching, I think that's the Porta Rossa, the red door. And yeah, I checked the closed circuit TV for the night before, visits by foxes and hedgehogs. And then June's rustled up food for the evening meal. And I decided to take a walk down, since it's Sunday night, down to the Comrades Club and enjoyed a game of pool with my friends. And yeah, so that was enjoyable. Made my way back home, and of course it was quite late then, not long before midnight, so time to turn in. That's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot, and of course a lot of things were happening at the same time, so there was less logic to the pictures. Yeah, checking the water level in the pond. I thought, yeah, better top it up. It's gone down an inch or so, just seepage. And yeah, sun came out, and so yeah, that's 11:15 BST, 10:15, and it looked about the right direction for where the 10 had been temporarily glued. Yeah, the Gunnerer is coming along nicely. Gunnerer Manticata. Just a few glimpses. Everything's grown like mad. Bluebells are up, dandelions. Yeah, looks like turn the tap off there. Yeah, there's all the junk around the side of the house. And the water level now up. Various things marking the depth, or whether how far it's dropped from full. Coming up to 12 o'clock BST, which is 11 o'clock GMT. And there's the college that I found online. It was open that day. That was the first time it had been opened, apparently, for the NGS scheme. So we took the run. It wasn't that far. Well, it was 25 minutes or so, a bit more than that, half an hour perhaps, down south of Odium. So that's just a photo trail. Yeah, past Odium Airfield, RAF base. And yeah, we're familiar with that village from a long time ago. Lovely little place. And never been into the college. And I looked it up on the wiki before. Interesting history. Old money in banking. And then no heirs. So basically, before the First War, they'd been bequeathed it to charitable trusts for schools, and it's become a private school. Yeah, it looks at a paper map for taking the cross-country route back. past a few landmarks. We remember that inn, I think, has been where they were, well, years ago we'd walked through those fields. So into Church Crookham, still making our way home, or rather not home but via Longacres. And there's the trellis, which was on special order. There we go, £14, because they were damaged, so we brought some of that back. And yeah, making our way home again, past a few landmarks, over the Berkshire border, past the Berestead, into Armitage Court, got home, and now we can afford to take that stuff out, put it around the back where it's got to go. I checked the tracker, yeah, anybody interested could have seen where we went, including walking around Lord Wandsworth College and Longacres, and exactly where the stuff was in Longacres, and back home, just here. Yeah, so put a few screws in, fixed them in position. There was already some framework there, and I had 2 lots of creosote. Now I'd finished up what was I'd describe as proper creosote, but of course I got it on the plants below. June wasn't sure whether that was honesty, as she says, or weeds, but anyhow, washed it off as best I could. And cables had arrived from there, which are tinned automobile cables. That was the key thing to search for, because tin cable doesn't corrode so much, particularly in salt water. So June's watching La Porta Rossa, the Red Door, Italian drama. Yes, looking the closed circuit TV checks, hedgehogs coming to the front porch. Interesting also looking around near the plants, not just peanuts. And the fox comes, and of course sometimes you get more than one fox at the same time, depends on their relationship, whether they queue. And the hedgehog, the cameras switch at 0454 GMT to colour for the day, so I'm now going back from midnight, again it looks like a young fox, through till 1924 GMT, when they switch to black and white for the night. And in fact there was yes, Toady relaxing, not sure what that blank screen was there, but yeah, a bit more work in the garden. And yes, I was just checking how that looked on the closed circuit TV, and looked okay. And then we just managed to, with Samantha's help, squeeze lots of the scrap cardboard we had into the dustbin by cutting it up, as the dustbin would come in the next day. I'd take my walk down to the village, just for exercise of course, but also to pop into the Comrades Club, have a 0% Peroni, and enjoy a bit of time there, and of course arrival of my friends and then make my way back home. So it's now getting close to midnight, so back into the house, tidy up things, and yes, the tracker worked. Anybody interested? Oh, Robin's been in the Comrades Club. Time for bed, so that's the end of the photo trail. Monday the 15th of April 2024, 6.5 minutes of photos, including this 1.5 minute summary at the start. Yes, Bentley on guard duty, including on a table, and yes, Toady as well. Trip early on to Longacres to pick up some more trellis at a low price. Unfortunately, Samantha's car roof wouldn't come down, so June picked us up. And closed circuit TV check for the night before. Hedgehogs and foxes for the peanuts on the front porch. Yeah, 2 foxes sometimes 2 foxes and a hedgehog, sometimes 2 hedgehogs. And Toady triggering the PAR light. And Raj came round to borrow the strimmers. I gave him one that we knew worked and one that didn't, and there's a good chance they might get that one working. Yes, there's the Pussycats, June watching La Porta Rossa, the door, red door, and time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now the photos, I didn't bother to start taking photos until Samantha and I were on our visit out to Longacres to pick up that trellis. Very low cost because it was slightly damaged like the other ones we had. Only problem was the roof of her car wouldn't come down. So she basically called June to say, could June come out, because we've done it in June's car, and we were able to see June arriving on the tracker. And yeah, sure enough, there she arrived as we expected, and of course easily put that into the back of the car and got it back home into Armitage Court, number 22. I did a sundial check because it was close to the hour, and yeah, the trellis went into place pretty straightforwardly, and so Jay's basically tidying up that bit which is where the workshop is. And also the closed circuit TV means it practically disappears as well. There it is over in the corner, so that's good. So what's happening? Oh yes, I got a Chapman's. I picked up another digit, number 5, and glued that temporarily in place. There's Toadie watching what was going on. Closed circuit TV check for the night before, starting from midnight running forward. Yes, there's a hedgehog after the peanuts. Interesting thing is, he or she was spending time in that plant area, so probably other things there, maybe slugs and things. And there's the back bridge, hedgehog triggering the PIR light on the back bridge, top bridge rather. And there's 2 foxes and a hedgehog at similar times. There's 2 hedgehogs. And yes, there's a couple of foxes again. Interesting, they didn't get on too well. Perhaps they were competitors. And yeah, running back from midnight, that 0454 was when the camera switched to colour for the day. That's GMT. So now running back from midnight, similar pattern of foxes, and that looks like Robin returning back from the Comrades Club. That's Toadie checking on the PR. And there's a little mouse. You'd hardly notice it, but his movement and 2 eyes. And the camera switched to black and white for the night at 1927 GMT. So that's the closed circuit TV check done for the night before. There's Bentley looking out the back window. He prowls about all over the place. Yes, that camouflage netting, and they're just taking a picture of the plants. Put those plants in. They weren't very good, but then it turned out that they were just things that I think Michelle had provided one. Sorry about that. Yes, that's Bentley. He's very photogenic. Can't resist taking pictures of him. And I thought I'd do a better job. That little crowned frog gets knocked over regularly, probably the hedgehogs. So I've made a more substantial seating for him, so he shouldn't get knocked over, because he guards the entrance to the mouse fort, or bunker, whatever you like to call it. There's Raj arriving to that picture, and yeah, these are the pictures in the order they were taken. So I noticed, yeah, not a case of grabbing the opportunity. And yeah, so June's rustled up food. I go, that's Bentley playing with toys in the lounge and Robin's naughty corner. There's Raj. Those are the closed circuit TV pictures from what happened a bit before. And yes, Bentley's decided to look out the window where the robot boat is, and I've got the materials now, so with any luck I might be able to spend the odd hour or 2 on it. June's watching La Porta Rossa, the Red Door Italian drama, and Bentley's relaxing on the table. Yeah, the lights have come on for the boat. So time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 16th of April 2024. 11 minutes of photos, including this 2.5 minute summary at the start. Yeah, lots of odds and ends going on. Samantha and June played tennis first thing. Yeah, trackers gave me warning they're on their way back. 2 trackers, the personal pendant SOS one and the one that goes in the boats. Yeah, pub lunch with grumpy old men. A nice bit of artwork. I recognise those guys. So that was at the Red Lion at Lightwater. So I had a nice meal there and conversation. And of course anybody interested could say, oh, that's where Robin's tracker is, so it's probably where he is. Then we came back for coffee and bickies at Richard's place. Yes, there was a heavy shower of rain. Well, hail actually. And the cats were messing around, Bentley and Toadie. And Toadie gave me a scratch. Play fighting, I think that was. Bentley carried on his guard duty as usual. Yeah, and the women are off again for social tennis in the evening. So the trackers keep an eye on them, including Toadie prowling around. So that shows them at the tennis club. I do the closed circuit TV check for that night. Foxes coming and hedgehogs coming for peanuts on the front porch. 2 hedgehogs there. One of them was more interested in the stuff around the plant. And yeah, the back bridge, there's a hedgehog and also Toadie triggering the PIR, which at least would warn the mouse not to come out. And yeah, Toadie joins me later, put the peanuts out on the top bridge and also the front porch. They'd all went that, you know, those foxes finish them all off, and the hedgehogs. Social tennis in the evening, and June watches La Porta Rossa, the Red Door, and that's the end of the summary. Yeah, time for bed. So right now all the photos in the order they were shot. So a bit of tinkering around with the garden, including that lattice and camouflage netting. When the time is right, I would do a check. So 10 o'clock GMT is 11 o'clock in the morning, and yeah, when the sun's out, which is briefly occasionally between the clouds, you can check things. So just there, yeah, and that was going through the right position for 10 o'clock GMT, I think, in the morning. And what else have we got? Yeah, just a few photos looking down the end. Plants are coming along nicely. And that's the bog garden end. And what have we got next? Yeah, the pond. And yeah, the patio. Not much work to be done there now, just a question of putting things in the right place. Oh yes, and processing a video like what I'm doing now for the day before, and also on the video front, the early April video was put together. So there's the various trackers showing the correct position at the tennis club, and that looks as though they're on the way back home. So it updates several times a minute, so you get typically less than a minute warning. Yeah, and there they are arriving. So I was out there to see them come in. Yeah, I took a few extra snaps while I was about it, including that bit of furniture, did I say? Garden sculpture that June got me for a birthday present, or best part of 3 years ago now, I think. Yeah, that's one of the trackers. That's the other one. That's the Satcoms tracker. Spot, that is. And Toadie was dozing in Michelle's bedroom. He'll claim he gets a bit of sleep in the day to do prowling around at night. That's just looking at the trackers. Oh yes, that was pub lunch. So pub lunch was at the Red Lion at Lightwater, so I was ready for when Stuart arrived, and yeah, went past a few landmarks on the way. I find those old places of interest. Over the motorway into Lightwater and to the Red Lion. That was a lovely bit of artwork. I recognise those four guys. So this is just keeping a record of what we were eating, and yeah, lovely meal, lovely conversations, and then making our way back past again a few landmarks and into Berkshire over the boundary and into Armitage Court. And I just did a quick check of the trackers. Yes, they're working. Checked emails that might have come in, and then yeah, and then popped back for coffee and bickies, and yeah, looking out their back window, and then heavy hailstorm came through, and yes, couldn't avoid getting a little bit damp, even though we waited for the worst of it to go through. There it is on the yeah. Oh yes, Samantha had sent an amusing video she shot earlier of the two cats watching a squirrel. You can't see it very well there. It was a squirrel. Closed circuit TV showed it out better. And yes, the cats are still up to mischief. And there, Toady gives me a scratch. Play fighting, I think he was doing. Bentley says, oh, it won't nothing to do with me. I'll carry on doing my guard duty. That's the hedgehog on the closed circuit TV that Samantha had taken a short video of. And yeah, a bit blurred, but was on the hour, and so 5 o'clock GMT. Yeah, I got a note there that the women are going out to social tennis at that time, so I had a look for on the rain radars, and looks to be alright. Did a bit of work in the background on processing a video, doing exactly what I'm doing here now. And yes, Toadie's watching them go. So that's one of the trackers, and that's the other one, the Spot Satcoms. So they're off. So that's for social tennis. And what's happening next? Oh, you're looking on the trackers, yeah. Look at the pendant SOS tracker. Yeah, shows them getting there okay. And looks like I'm going into the naughty corner here to do the closed circuit TV check for the night. So these are the few pictures I took, just representative really of, there's two foxes at the same time for the peanuts, and a hedgehog, and yeah, and through to when the camera switched at 04:55 GMT for daylight, in other words into colour. There's two hedgehogs. I'm now going backwards from midnight, and that hedgehog in the foreground was taking more interest in whatever it could find near the plant, near the doorstep. There's two hedgehogs, and that is a hedgehog triggering the PIR lamp on top bridge, and there's Toady. So one purpose that lamp has is to alert mice that there's something there that might be a pussycat. 1929 GMT is when the camera switched from colour for the day to black and white at night. So yeah, the trackers are working. Toady joins me. Mischievous pussycat. Yes, that's Spot Satcom's tracker. It shows the position right. I tried to look at a few pictures of Toady, but he's not easy. So basically, oh yes, put the peanuts out, and both on the top bridge and on the porch they all went. So Combination of foxes and hedgehogs eat all those peanuts up. Right, June had left some food for me, so I popped that in the microwave so that I could have my evening dinner, relaxed. Even got as far as a cornet, and then I could see they were on their way back. That's where we are, so they're close, so they'll be arriving soon. So I think I probably went out about the same time though. Yes, there they are on the closed circuit TV. All a bit blurred because it was low light level, no flash there. And yeah, so Toadie said, oh, I think I'll have my supper now. Yes, so the trackers seem to show the right position. So then June's watching La Porta Rossa, and time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. I should have warned you they will be long photo trails, as is the whole of this video, but what we're going to do now is end with material that was shot over a year ago about the DVLA and more importantly global warming. So I'll start from about here. Now what I put on the screen, because global warming is rare in itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert. Shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelock said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired, happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Robin Lovelock launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes. That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including the live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worried for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well, but as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday, that'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me wittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha, and here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have. Yes, it's now middle of March 2024, and the font's changed quite a bit. I'll have to change the copyright statement at the end, but the message is the same. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy life while we can. Oh yeah, my hair's grown a bit since then.